Hey, this is Dr. Corey Glenn. I'm going to show in this video how to use the Shining 3D DSEX scanner to digitally create a duplicate denture. So there's quite a few times when I would like to do some kind of a technique, be it for impression trays or for a scanning appliance, where I'd really like to be able to duplicate the patient's existing denture and be able to just 3D print that. However, it's fairly difficult to do that with many scanners. So I wanted to show, at least using the Shining scanner, how I go about doing that. For starters, when you launch your dental scan software, you're going to be in this window and you need to first go into your settings and you need to change your device type to clinic mode. So you may be in one of these other modes, but it's very important that you be in the clinic mode for doing this part. Okay, so that's already been done here. I don't have to apply those settings. So if you do have to change that, you'll have to go and relaunch the software after applying those settings. But once we've done that, we can launch a new project. And what I want to do is do a non-separated model, and you want to tell it that you're in free scan mode. Okay, you'll see why the free scan mode is important here in a moment. So we're going to choose an arch, push save, and then scan. So as you see here, the scanner has launched, and we can go forward, tell it all these. If you want a texture, you can do that. I don't really need texture. We're going to click OK, and now you can see the preview window. Now what I need to first do is that I'm going to powder the denture. Generally, dentures are going to be extremely shiny, and so you'll have some difficulty in getting this to pick up. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this scanning spray. There's any number of these scanning sprays on the market, and I'm just going to spray this denture down real good. Let's first of all just do this tooth side of it. Get all your borders, make sure you're knocking the shine off of it. And then there's just a little bit of the sticky tack material, and I'm going to press this down, being careful that it is still suspended in air. Do you see how none of my borders are touching? That's important. Make sure none of your borders are touching. And now let's push scan. Okay, so once this comes up, you want to adjust your cut height down so that it doesn't end up cutting off any of that. And this is why you wanted that suspended up in the air, is because you don't want a lot of that excess tacky material to have to be trimmed away. So before moving forward, I'm going to come in and use the trim tool and just cut away what little bit of it did appear. Push delete on your keyboard and look for any holes. I do see that we've got some missing data right here, so I'm going to push add scan. And now you see that that's been filled in. Okay, so at this point, being in free scan mode, and I do see that we've got a couple more little bits that we need to cut off. But being in free scan mode is going to allow us to now reorient this denture and reposition it, this time with the intaglio up. And so with the intaglio up, we can now scan the opposing side, and it will take all of that information and superimpose it together, and I can see that my teeth are going to be touching on the platform, so I'm getting some extra tack material. Just wad it up and put it in the palette, get it away from your borders. And once again, suspend this in air. I'm being pretty generous with the scanning powder, but don't want to have to worry about missing any areas. So we've got this one side. Now come back and in the right-hand menu, hit the button that says Scan. Now what it's doing now is just going to add a whole new set of data. It's going to run through all of those scans once again, and then in the next step it will end up combining the two, and what you'll end up with is a nice watertight duplicate denture. Alright, so this time let's look the internal of the denture over really well. and see if there are any holes. There's a slide hole right there, so let's add scan. Great. And finally, you'll want to cut away any of the excess data that got picked up. So look at it from this direction, and let's encircle that. Delete. And delete again. Okay, as you can see, we now have a very nice watertight denture. Click next. And here is the final model. If you need to close any holes, you can hit fill holes, and then it's ready to complete. And there's the denture. So we'll push complete, and if I wanted to open that file up, then when we're back on the home screen, just hit open. It will take you to that destination folder. I'll open this right now in Mesh Mixer just so that you can see it. And yet again, here is the final denture. And if you had any little floating pieces in air that you might have missed during that first process, in Mesh Mixer, that's really easy to deal with. Simply use your select tool, click, there we go. And if there were little pieces floating out into space, you could come in now and in your modify menu, hit invert, and what will happen is it will deselect everything that you have orange here, and it will select everything that wasn't orange. So now all those floating pieces would be highlighted, and you could just push delete on your keyboard and now resave this, and you have a nice watertight model. We could run the analysis to see if there's any holes in this. And as you see, the inspector is not showing any holes at all. So this is now an STL that you could 3D print and have digital duplicates indefinitely for whatever purpose you needed them.